Welcome to United States Navy Second Life, Fire and Emergency Services Training Video number 6. This time, we'll be going over the basics of aircraft rescue firefighting operations. As you can see, the AFs are very different from our other rigs. In some ways, they operate about the same as the tower or aerial. In other ways, it's a whole different way of doing things. So, let's get started. Before we say anything else about the AFs, we need to go over PPE. That's personal protective equipment or turnout gear. Now in the case of the AFs and aircraft emergencies, we wear proximity gear. It's made from vacuum-deposited aluminized materials that reflect the high radiant loads produced by the fire. It provides ambient protection to 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 degrees Celsius. Full proximity gear will be worn by all responding crew members to all aircraft emergencies. In addition, the backseaters will also wear full SCBA. With the AFs, to get into the driver's seat, you can either right-click in front of the driver's door and select board, or you can cam in on the driver's seat and your cursor will change to a sit icon. When it changes, just left-click. To get into the other seats, you cam in on the seat you want. When your cursor changes to the sit icon, you left-click and you're in that seat. Starting the AF is the same as starting the tower or aerial. Lights and other stuff works the same way too. Though with the AF, you will also need to move your cursor onto the overhead image of the right on the HUD, then click on one of the yellow dots. That will turn on those lights on the rig. Now, you will notice that your HUD has an extra tab on the top, which is labeled aerial. You'll only get this if there is no one seated in the officer's seat. But this tab is there because the AF can actually be operated by one person. Not that we do that. Well, not unless we really have to. Anyways, if there is no one in the officer's seat, the driver does have full control over almost everything on the rig, except the hose lines. Okay, so when someone sits in the officer's seat, the aerial tab will no longer be active on the driver's HUD, and the right side seat will now have control of the aerial. Also, the AFs are pump and roll, meaning that they can be driven around while they are pumping water or foam or dry chemical. This is a primary feature of AFs, which we will use most of the time, starting to throw foam onto the aircraft fire while the rig is still driving to the scene. It'll take practice to learn just how far the nozzles will reach and to get on and stay on target as the rig moves. Alright, seat assignments. The driver's seat, of course, gets the driver. Though this time, the driver will not also be the pump operator. The officer's seat gets the officer, who will be operating the boom and bumper nozzle. The 3 rear seat assignments will vary depending on the number of personnel in the crew as well as the type of aircraft and type of emergency. If we have a full 5-person crew, the members in rear left and center seats will conduct rescue operations if needed. If not needed for rescue, they will then access hose cabinets and begin fire suppression operations with attack lines. The rear right seat person will have the job of refilling the aft with water and/or foam. This is a very critical job. During an aircraft fire, the rig will need to be refilled fast. Now, where do you position the rig for an aircraft emergency? This gets a bit complicated. In real life, aft crews are well trained on where and how to position their rigs depending on type of incident, type of aircraft, weather, wind speed, wind direction and several other factors. Well, that won't work for us. We simply don't have the room at our bases or runways that we'd need. So, we'll keep it simple. Since we'll mostly be dealing with Navy fighters, we'll simply stay out of their weapons firing arcs while at the same time making sure that the bumper nozzle, or the dismounted attack crew, has a clear shot to cover an escape route for the pilot. The green areas are safe zones while the red is the danger zone for fighters. If you have an incident with an unarmed aircraft, you can disregard the danger zone. Alright, now on to actually operating the rig. The controls for the nozzles are the same as with the aerial and tower. However, the aft has an articulated boom, so that's a bit different. Watch to see how it's done. Two. Initial attack. The initial attack begins using the roof turrets and bumper nozzles during the approach of firefighting vehicles, as soon as the vehicles are within range of the fire and/or aircraft. Turret operators adjust the turret from straight stream to a dispersed pattern, depending on reach required. A dispersed pattern that will reach the seat of the fire covers a larger area in a shorter period of time. Sweeping the turret from side to side also contributes to quickly covering a larger area of fire. Handlines. Handlines, also called attack lines, are provided on all aircraft firefighting and rescue vehicles. Handlines are used to control and extinguish fires in shadow areas in and around the aircraft that are not extinguished by the two nozzles. They are also used to extinguish interior cabin fires and for cooling the aircraft and ordnance. They are mounted both on the rig as well as in hose cabinets placed around the runway and flight line. So, once it is confirmed that the aircraft crew is safe, rear left and center seat crew members will use attack lines to cool and keep any weapons from detonating. In addition, attack lines will be used to extinguish any fire that can't be reached by the aft's nozzles.